This is a podcast from the Angel News Network with author Joel Anastasi interviewing Ascended Master Saint Germain as channeled by Philip Elton Collins.
Greetings, beloved citizens of the world and the United States of America. Having been instrumental in the creation of the United States, I shall be direct at this time. The divine soul you call Trump is a fast and furious way is throwing your nation and world into chaos, crime, and corruption, what we call the 3 C's. Through his actions, which benefit himself and his followers in a vast way. Fear, intimidation, and threats are also often hidden and at play for those who support what they truly do not resonate with. Feel the fear and be with your empowered self anyway, dear citizens. In many ways, money and huge wealth have become the weapons of war and separation. Democracy appears to be up for sale. Through greed, there is a lack of compassion for others, a need to grab for power, a tendency to relate to people only like yourself, forgetting you are all diversified versions of one another from the same source. That seems to be the rule of the day. But rest assured, in your vernacular, long-term, dense energy of hate and lies does not sell in commerce or government or your history. Check history, dear citizens. Eventually, the negative will be overtaken by the positive. That is the force and power of love in action. Remember, dear citizens, all this is a learning tool. When you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person as you were in the storm. That is what the storm is all about. Some words of wisdom to the men of the world trying to rule things. Masculinity is not toxic. The absence of it is. Weak men are abusive and spiteful. Strong masculine men are protective and loving. This unhealed self-behavior often creates destructive endings, dear citizens. Through your free will and choice, it is important that you allow it all to play out in order to prevent it from happening again by creating a positive parallel path, not intersecting in the unhealed behavior. There is an ancient human proverb. If you get on the wrong train, get off that train as soon as possible. The longer you take to get off of it, the more consequences will occur, dear citizens. It's not just a train at this time, is it, dear ones? The most kind and loving action is to speak the truth. There is a cultural norm not to do that at present. This behavior will not create a loving, compassionate world. For when you choose not to speak the truth, your intention most likely is not loving of self nor others. Divine souls, when illusions break through as a result of your further waking up, you will not ever be deceived again. Be with your feelings and remember they're not who you are, and release them by fully being with them. Remember, what you resist persists. Question to you all. Do you resonate with a group of billionaires suddenly working, not elected, to benefit the common good of the people? By cutting programs that support those most in need, what would you say this type of behavior requires, dear citizens? It requires an unhealed, low self-esteem relationship with yourself. While we intend not to judge those who appear to be inflicting harm on others in the name of helping them, please ask yourself, what are they being? Are they celebrating inclusiveness and equality through love and harmony, or is it something otherwise? The big question to ask now is your nation and your world, how is it affecting you? Do you resonate and discern and create events, dear citizens? In your choices and responses lies your growth and freedom through your free will. As we of the higher realms have been teaching for a long time, The best way to transcend your dense, low vibrational world is through a loving, peaceful, equality creating, and harmony creating by raising your vibration. How many times have you heard that? Is that happening in your nation and world? Do your leaders reflect these qualities? As many of you have been taught many times, it is all about your relationship with yourself, self-love, self-empowerment, reflected out to others. Who are you choosing to be and to do out into the world? Are your leaders being and doing that? Do you feel betrayed? Be with your feelings and release them so you can better respond rather than react. Often you can rely and learn what you need to learn through these consequences. It's all your freedom of choice. But remember, try hard not to shame or blame yourself in that process of learning. When I assisted you with the phrases, we the people, for the people, by the people, what do you think I meant? It was to remind you of the inner power that always existed within each of you. Remember, in a true democracy, the people can win, not corrupt rich leaders. How do you do that? If you so choose, organize, don't fight with them, and create collective, like-minded, like-spirited people, truly working to a united consciousness of equality and inclusiveness based upon love, and be and do that as much as you can, dear ones. Positive change often grows at a grassroots level by collective consciousness, like-spirited and like-minded people. Unhealed behavior often self-destructs. Allow that process to unfold within your involvement. Focus on love and helping your fellow citizen. The choice before you is a government of the super wealthy with self-interest or one of the people, for the people, by the people. This requires a healthy, healed relationship with self mirrored to others. The only way you can achieve a government of the people is by selecting healed leaders that truly love themselves, not through arrogance, in order to love and care for others. Remember, dear humans, choose to experience reality through a relationship with self, a relationship with a loving self, and reflect that out to others. Humanity has been given many tools in order to heal self. You of the Angel News Network have written many books on this topic and taught it in a school that you have created. Time, if you so choose, to apply all you have learned and been teaching currently to continue the experience, knowing the consequences will be your teaching tools, and master what you still need to learn on this university, loveversity called Earth. If you master the tools, you will no longer resonate with unhealed leaders, falsely leading your nation and world into chaos and separation, and create the lives and world you say you want, one of equality, inclusiveness, harmony, balance, all based on the most powerful force in the universe. And what do you think that is, dear citizens? It is love. Here's the most challenging aspect of being human in the 3D dimension. It is all an illusion with Shakespearean characters playing their parts of good and bad and right and wrong. You will fully come to know the truth when you leave your bodies, dear one. But in the meantime, you're here to continue your journey, to continue your learning in this dense frequency, the densest frequency in the universal plane. We of the higher realms continue to reiterate these lessons often since you have not mastered them. Dear citizens, you are painfully and currently aware of the effects of an unhealed leader. You have done it for centuries. Are you sick and tired of being led by these wounded individuals? Perhaps you might consider a new choice in the near future. Remember, everything can seem like a conspiracy theory if you don't know how things work or you don't really know the truth. Knowledge is power. How often have you heard that? There are many led astray through not following and appealing to their own wounds by the wounded. Let us forgive and not judge them for all the ways you learn in being human. They're all perfect, dear ones. But you can create a parallel path based upon truth and knowledge. All this requires eliminating herd consciousness based upon ignorance and the intention of others to control you. Remember, when humanity was created long ago by those advanced beings who altered your genes, a control gene was implanted in you to serve their purposes. But your spiritual DNA, dear ones, can override that alteration. The time has come for you to activate that. It is quite simple. Do you resonate with what is happening in the nation and the world? You can wake up and create a parallel path of goodness and equality. Don't bother to argue and fight with those who disagree with you. Just be your inner light upon the shadow of the density and the darkness that dwells. We made freedom of press an essential aspect of your government to keep a finger on power and to further allow humanity to maintain and sustain your moral compass. Those who shut their eyes to truth invite their own demise, my dear ones. Be aware of that at all times. As awakened children enter your world to choose another path from the current one, do you want them to ask, why did you not do something? As the world and humanity were being badly damaged? The idea that some lives matter less than others is the root cause of your nation and world today. I shall repeat that. The idea that some lives matter less than others is the root cause of what is going on in the world and your nation today. You're all divine beings, a reflection of what you call God experiencing itself, and the world would be incomplete without each of you, or you would not be here, dear citizens. All that is happening is the possibility for you to enter another golden age of equality, harmony, and balance through cosmic love as a result of the clearing and cleansing taking place on your planet. All that needs to be healed is appearing in your lives and world. You're being further assisted by the cosmic energies coming in, energies that will support your ascension process and stay here permanently. Dear citizens, what you call God is a frequency within you all. Are you ready to apply it for good? As you are in the midst of human drama and trauma, remember, change is all there is. What you choose to create, you being the creator, creating all the time. Knowing it is darkest before the dawn, as discussed before, negative forces will ultimately consume and destroy themselves. Only through true love can and will you evolve. Check history. As you are mastering it all, raising your vibration, if you so choose, dear citizens, vibrate so high that you transmute all the madness in the world as you enter the room. How may we assist you further, dear ones?
Saint Germain, thank you. Wow, that was such a comprehensive description of the problem and the solution. I don't think we could add very much to what you said. It's probably, we have people that listen to these who don't have the benefit of your teachings in the past, so that's probably a lot for people to absorb. Yes, so many of us are sick and tired of the being led by these unhealed leaders, and for some people, I guess it's probably confusing to hear the teaching, don't resist, because you just kind of feed the energy. Of course, that makes sense. But when I say that to friends and I talk about creating the parallel path of the alternative to the destruction we're seeing, they're still confused by it. And I know it has a lot to do with energy, raising our vibration, and focusing on self-love and self-empowerment. But that can be confusing with people. Can you understand why that's true?
They will experience to know the truth of the parallel path for the consequences of not experiencing it. You understand?
Yeah, but that I'm not sure that explains it enough for people. I'm not sure people really understand. But when you see something the things as outrageous as we're experiencing right now, where there's really been an assault on the federal government in a way we've never really experienced before, when so many programs to help people are being called destructive and wasteful, and we're seeing our relationships with our allies undermined, and we're seeing new relationships created with dictators and murderers. It's pretty shocking that all of this has happened in less than 2 months, and to tell people that they shouldn't resist, they ought to create a parallel path. That's confusing for people.
Well, they will be with their confusion, dear one. We have simply spoken the reality of the universal tools necessary to move beyond the chaos and the confusion. And let them ask themselves, where are you not employing the checks and balances which were amalgamated into the creation of the founding father papers of the United States of America? If you simply employ those tools, which are often being denied or negated at this time, much of what is taking place can be stopped. By simply asking yourself, do you think billionaires are going to try to change a system which created them being billionaires?
Well, of course, one of the checks on the presidency is the Congress, and we're really not seeing, because the same party holds the Congress as holds the presidency, we're really not seeing that check taking place. And that's one of the reasons why Trump
So, dear one, all the ones who selected and elected those individuals will experience the consequences by their choices through their free will and choice. And perhaps after they personally, in addition to nationally or globally, experience the damage, they will begin to make another decision. That is how they will truly learn, dear one. Let them be within their process of learning through the choices they have made.
Well, I think we're beginning to see the early signs of that right now. We're hearing reports about when the representatives meet with their constituency, they're experiencing a lot of rage and anger. What's going on?
Exactly, through personal consequences from their decision. Is the program I need the most being eliminated? Are the tariffs that are being created benefiting me, or are they making things more expensive and more difficult? Is our nation being alienated by our neighbors from the north and south, when cooperation rather than alienation would be much more productive for all? So all of this drama and trauma and the densest frequency of the universal plane which you are residing in is happening so fast and so quickly because it is necessary to move through that clearing and cleansing to get to the next step of your evolution. Does that make sense, dear one?
Oh, absolutely. But let's just focus for a minute. And again, we're thinking of the folks who are listening to this. When citizens meet with their representatives and they do express their anger and they're responding to things they don't like, isn't that resisting?
Not necessarily. It depends on what they're actually saying and how they are saying it as they express their displeasure with it. It depends on exactly the context of that communication and what is the intention of that communication. But the most vital thing to remember is those who chose and elected the current leadership, the only way they will change the direction and focus of their lives is by making new choices, again, by experiencing the consequences of their decisions and their choices. That is the most vital thing to be aware of.
Well, it's pretty early, and the consequences seem clear to me, but I'm not sure that it's clear to the people who voted for Trump. So I think that's probably unfolding pretty quickly.
Well, in your vernacular, it will become rather clear to them rather quickly.
Well, let's
would be our observation from above.
Well, I was going to say that old cliche, from your mouth to God's ears, but I think I'm talking to God's ears. Uh, I'd like to focus a little bit on what you talked about in terms of raising our vibrations. I take notes when you're talking. I didn't quite capture the wonderful way you express raising the vibrations to lift us out of the environment we're in. Let's focus on what we can do to be raising our vibrations.
Not go into the drama, not go into the trauma of it. Again, supporting the cosmic equation that what you resist persists, because it fuels it if you enter into it. So here you are in the densest frequency, which is a low vibration. So what we mean by raising the vibration is moving from this frequency, which is your evolutionary divine plan, into something called ascension, into a higher frequency, through raising your consciousness, your awareness of what's going on, and the choices that you have made through your free will, and saying, is this affecting me and the world in a positive or a negative way? And through those processes, you can raise your frequency, become more conscious, become more aware, make improved choices, and ascend this dense frequency. Does that make sense, dear one?
It certainly does. When you were talking, you alluded to a couple of things that I just want to focus on a little bit, because some people may not have caught it. You alluded to when man was in a more primitive form, that there were aliens that altered our genes so that they could create human slaves, so to speak, to mine materials that they wanted. And you referred to, we once referred to it as a slave gene. Explain that, please.
Well, that is the missing link in your history, the origin of what is now called the Homo sapien human species. And that's becoming clearer and clearer, that how did human beings move from a cave existence into mastering mathematics, agriculture, cosmetology, and creation of governments? Obviously, there was an influence for something more advanced than themselves, which jump-started the evolution of humanity. But the beings who taught that initially had an agenda of their own needs, individually and at their own planet's needs. And so as they were altering the genes, they put in sort of a control mechanism, which still sort of exists in what you call monarchy and kingship and presidencies, and diminished the individual power of the divine spark within each one of you. So now, as a result of something called your spiritual DNA, which your scientists have called junk DNA, that spiritual DNA can be activated through raising your vibration and your consciousness and knock out this control gene. But what you're finding largely in the populace still as a result of this slave gene, if you will, is that if you elect a president or other leaders, it'll be mom and dad taking care of me instead of you doing it yourself as a sovereign, independent, divine being of reflection of creation experiencing itself, connecting to your own divinity. Does that help you?
Yeah, so this gene encourages people to feel that they want to be controlled and told what to do and guided by a strong leader.
Correct.
Yeah. You also...
So that is what is happening, that aspect of your being is being diminished more and more. So less and less you can fall on electing someone who you think is going to take care of you, and in reality, their agenda is to control you for their own agenda, for their own gain, for their colleagues' gain. And that's what you're ultimately experiencing in the global planet currently. And that's what you're experiencing anew in the United States of America when the Founding Father papers were developed and transmitted, if you will. All of the kingship possibilities and the control mechanisms of one individual were prevented, but what the Founding Fathers never anticipated was that that individual could end up controlling all of the checks and balance systems, like what you call the Congress, the Supreme Court. And you may, if you so choose, think about altering those documents to prevent this from happening again. And see everything that's happening now as perfect and a learning tool of what you need to learn. And you are really very aware that the nation is an adolescent. It's not quite an adult yet, is it?
Not by a long shot.
For the adult would know and see all of which we discuss. So all that is transpiring appears to be necessary. And it's part of your evolutionary path. So these are decisions you will only learn and master individually, again, through the consequences that happen to you. It is very difficult for someone to admit that they are wrong through their ego. But more and more, to get that shift to take place, there need to be personalized, individuated consequences for the choices that you've made that cause you to make another decision, whether it's an addiction, whether it's making a negative choice in a leader. Often humanity chooses the hardest path when it can be simple.
Well, we're doing that again, aren't we? We're choosing the hardest path.
When it can be simple.
Yeah.
By simply following what's been laid out for you in these documents that prevent all that is taking place, by simply implementing them.
You refer to it as being a learning tool, and I guess we learn from the consequences of our choices.
Exactly, dear one.
You know, you referred to the high vibration energies you do every time we talk, but people may not have heard this before. So could you explain about the high vibration energies and how they're going to help raise our consciousness, or they're designed to raise our consciousness?
What humanity is in the process of learning that it's all vibration and frequency. Someday your healing will be achieved through vibration and frequency, which it is in advanced civilizations. All imbalance is a result of a low density vibration. Everything vibrates. Sound, color, you, the planet, the galaxy, the solar system, the universe. Everything is pulsating at different levels of frequency. The higher the frequency, the closer it gets to the divine element and spark that you originated from. The true essence of who you are, your divine beingness. Then it becomes having your beingness transmute into your doingness. Does that help you?
Yes, and hopefully the doingness will be shifting to higher vibration consciousness.
If you so choose, dear ones. If you so choose.
You and the channel, Philip Collins and I, Joel Anastasi, produced a book called The Refounding of America that we published in 2019. And I just want to read something that you said, just a few sentences here that you said, talking about Trump when in his first presidency. I would like you to begin to think of this individual as making a gift to humanity a gift from the gods, begin to see this individual as bringing up all the unhealed aspects of humanity, and begin to see this individual as a player upon the stage to show the foibles, the follies, the wounds, the defenses of humanity that are coming up for review. Since I was so involved in the creation of the United States of America, we feel you are at a pivotal point in your ascension, an accelerated process to bring up all the things that are preventing America from becoming the light of the world. If this was true back when you first sent this more than 5 years ago, it is even more true today.
So there's more to be learned,
Apparently,
obviously.
yeah.
For this divine soul was elected again to be a further teaching tool. By the extreme behavior that's going on now, it can create doubt. It can create shifts and choices for the future. In a way, this divine soul, the one you call Trump, through his radical, rapid behavior, is actually giving humanity, or in this case, the United States, well, and the global world as well, a good taste of the medicine and the learning tools they need by his rapid, often irrational behavior. And through that, there can be a deeper learning.
Well, as we're learning this, you talked about how rapid it was. It's astonishing. He's been in office less than 2 months, and we've seen all of this extraordinary, radical, dangerous behavior. It makes some of us wonder if we're going to be able to survive 4 years of him.
Well, the other flip of that could be a burnout. But when you use this rapid thrusting of decisions, of proclamations, of laws, the intention for it to become so rapid and frequent is to create confusion and chaos.
Right.
So the trick at hand, citizens, is to see beyond that, the foundations for all of these bullets, if you will, being fired at you. And look for the essence of the information coming forward. That is where your free press can come in to help the citizens delineate by picking the key points that are being fired out to the citizenship and digesting them, processing them, and responding to them. That is the value of your free press.
Well, that's one
which, of course, these individuals try to control
right.
and quiet. But, dear ones, that will not take place.
Well, St. Germain, let's bring it back to something positive. Let's bring it back to what you've alluded to, what we've talked about a little bit, and that's the positive parallel path. Would you just repeat some of the things that would constitute a positive parallel path that we as citizens might create?
Be aware of how what is happening is affecting you, and how you choose not to intersect into it, but to create with like-minded and like-spirited a collective consciousness of how you would like to have the world and nation be, how you would like your lives to be, what you really want in your lives and your nation. And move that forward, not intersecting with the old, but at the new parallel path, move and transcend the old that may be filled with chaos and not serve the common good of the people.
And how can we work with those high vibration entities to maximize their positive impact?
By working on yourself and your relationship with yourself, seeing a loving relationship with self, a high self-esteem, not arrogance, And that's loving self-relationship is mirrored out to others through compassion and caring for your fellow man. And as the swirl of chaos is around you, it does not prevent you from helping and supporting the fellow citizens around you who are in need. For there always are ways around the current drama and confusion and control mechanisms that individuals can still find a way to reach out and individually and collectively support, love, and help one another. In the United States, it can be done through the states. If the federal laws are not serving the common good, each individual state can make a separate decision to support domestic and international events and individuals, which is also taking place at this time, is it not?
Yes.
So those are just a few, dear one.
Well, St. Germain, thanks so much for all your wisdom. Is there anything you'd like to add before we end this conversation?
Never give up. Know that you are divine beings. Know that all this is a process. That in some way it's perfect. In some way from our perspective, there is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. It's simply how you're choosing to learn. And that it is your divine plan, the divine order of your ascension, of your evolution, to move through this into a higher frequency of existence, of inclusiveness, of love, and unity. That is where you're headed.
You've just given us the spiritual perspective that kind of makes all this make some sense, creates some sense out of this.
Isn't that what these podcasts are all about, dear one?
That's what they're supposed to be all about. Yes, indeed.
Indeed.
So thank you, St. Germain, for your wonderful counsel and wisdom at this time.
You're welcome, dear one.